Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here talking today about Dharma. And I've been seeing where everyone's from. Some people from the Midwest, like me. I'm in Wisconsin, and then others from other places, which is so great. Hi, everyone. Okay, so my name's Molly Chanson, and I'm the author of Yoga Wise, which just came out in April. And this is a 365 daily reader. You read a page a day. It's about yoga and my journey, and really about transformation. So, one page a day invites you into a yoga and spiritual practice. And this leads to different thoughts, different ways of being. Yoga has had such an incredible effect on my life and helped me through some really, really difficult personal things. And so I am so excited to share these experiences and teachings with everyone in my book, and in an accessible way, one day at a time. So today's talk, I'm talking about Dharma. What is Dharma, and how to find your true calling? So I am going to be following the chat. If you have a question along the way, I'll try to get to it and not miss it. Maybe if people want to start writing how familiar you are with Dharma, um, or a calling or a purpose, particularly if you have familiarity with the idea of Dharma, and then I'll keep going here. So, Dharma is our soul's purpose or our sacred duty. And these feel, at least for me, when I first heard about them, these feel like really big words, the idea of having a sacred duty or a soul's purpose. And I have basically spent my entire life trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And I think that came from childhood, because that was the question everyone always asked, was, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? And my journey has not been a straight line. And as we'll discover, Dharma and finding your calling usually isn't a straight line. And, so I was always hung up on this. What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? And how can I do that? Because I don't want to discover that. I just want to know what it is. I want the letter handed to me in my lap from God or the universe or whatever, and tell me what to do, because I just want to get through this life doing what I'm supposed to do, and just get there and do it. So that was sort of always my idea of, like, if someone could just give me the answer of who I'm supposed to be, I will do that. Um, that felt really safe and comfortable to me. And so I've had a lot of winding careers and purposes, from when I was in my 20s, and then in my 30s getting married and becoming a mom, and then getting divorced and my kids growing up, and then getting sober, and so many winding journeys and paths through that, and then becoming a writer and an author of 2 books, and this recent one, Yoga Wise, which is definitely part of my Dharma. So, my first question is, and I have a weird path the last few years. Yes. Yes, your comment, karma has a lot to do with Dharma. So the first question I'd like you to think about, and you're welcome to journal through this, or just think about it a little bit, is this idea of a calling. Do you feel like you have a calling, or what are some ideas maybe that you associate with this idea of having a calling? Um, so here, some people are talking about having purposes or abilities. I know I have a purpose, but I have no clue what it is. So, and trying a variety of things. So this is often leads us to our Dharma, is trying things and following different paths. Um, so first of all, the reason that yoga talks about Dharma, and the reason yoga says Dharma is so important, is because yoga has this purpose or promise to end human suffering, to end our suffering, to end that busyness in our mind, and to bring us more to our true self, is really the purpose I have discovered with a yoga practice. And this connects with Dharma because when we are fulfilled by honoring our Dharma, honoring who we are, when we fulfill ourselves from the inside, then we are content, our mind is settled, we live a peaceful life. It doesn't mean we don't have problems, but we have this contentment and fulfillment because we are pursuing our purpose. And so calling really becomes this responsibility to perform our essential duties and to basically share our essential nature. So this idea of Dharma or calling is a lot more than just like, what job do I want? What is my profession? But Dharma becomes more about what are the essential gifts? What is the essential nature inside of me that is unique and particular to who I am? Because everybody has this unique Dharma, and bringing forth that essential purpose or nature as a responsibility, as something that truly will save us. Following my Dharma has saved me in many ways, has healed me in many ways. And then in turn, that saves and heals others and all our relationships and everyone around us. I'm just taking a minute here to read some of the comments. Wonderful. Yeah. Taking time to follow different paths. Maybe having an idea of Dharma and then like maybe having a general aim, which is great. And then trying different things sort of around that. Like if it's healing, how can you hone in on this calling or Dharma to really like nail that bullseye of what your calling is? Okay. So first I'd like to address our current beliefs about a calling or a current belief about purpose or fulfillment. So you can answer these in the chat as well. That would be great. But when you think of fulfilling your purpose, or when you think of finding success or creating a successful life, what comes to mind? Some people have already said healing or not knowing, advocacy in HIV, AIDS, and healthcare in general. Runa Troy, I will get to your question. It's a good one. Searching for purpose is part of the human condition. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so a lot of times, at least for me, when I think of current beliefs about calling or purpose, I think of career. I think of something that is a job, sort of like that question that I got when I was a kid. What do you want to be when you grow up? So a lot of times most of my life, I was thinking of purpose as vocation. And Dharma can certainly be vocation. So Dharma can be what you do. I mean, we spend a lot of time working in our lives, most of us. And so it would be great if that could be something that was also our Dharma. Dharma doesn't have to be vocation. Dharma could be parenting. Dharma could be a hobby. Dharma could be something that you do in your free time. Dharma could be writing books, but you also have a job to support your lifestyle or family or whatever it is. So Dharma does not have to be vocation. And I'd like to speak to that, get that myth out of there right now. It can be vocation, but it doesn't have to be. The other thing about this is that Dharma doesn't have anything to do with an outcome. Okay, so a lot of times we think of Dharma as something that we need to do, or I think of success or purpose as something we need to do that brings money or brings a financial return of some kind, something we do, again, as a career, going back to this idea of vocation. But Dharma might not be that. Dharma might be a friendship you have or a relationship with someone, or again, raising children or taking care of a garden or something that fulfills you in those ways. And there might not be a return except for the fact that you love it. Okay. Here are some quotes from the Bhagavad Gita on Dharma. Someone mentioned in the chat about Hindu texts, and So the Bhagavad Gita, this one is the one that I read. The translation is Eknath Isaran. And so the Bhagavad Gita is a book about yoga, and really it's all about Dharma. So this book starts with the young warrior Arjuna, and he is on the battlefield, and he is paralyzed with fear and unknowing because he has to fight. He knows he's a warrior. He knows this is his dharma. He knows he's a warrior and he has to fight this battle. And the book begins, the story begins with him paralyzed on this battlefield, not knowing what to do. And Krishna, who is Lord or the supreme being in the story, is trying to guide him on this path that doing our dharma sometimes is hard. So we don't always want to move forward with our dharma or our purpose because it creates conflict. And I'll come back to this, but our dharma is also meant to transform us. And so by pursuing our dharma, by following our dharma, we are also going to go through significant challenges. We might question who we are. We might question our character. We're going to kind of be like on the floor of on the ground of the battlefield going like, help me, supreme being. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. So that's really common when we're discovering our dharma, is to enter states of paralysis or unknowing, places where we're really fearful or doubtful. Doesn't your dharma evolve or change as you age in life circumstance? Yes, absolutely. I want to come back to that. Couple questions here coming in. That first one that someone said, I think it was Runa, that you mentioned dharma as a feeling of emptiness. That wasn't exactly how you said it, but yes, this is where the self-transformation comes in with our dharma. So dharma not only transforms us, dharma transforms the world. And going through transformation is difficult. And I do think that there are empty parts of us that are filled when we discover or pursue our dharma. Another question is, doesn't your dharma evolve or change as you age and circumstance, or like when you retire? Absolutely. When I became a mom, that was my dharma. It still is, but that wasn't always, I mean, so this was a totally different life stage that I entered, becoming a parent, and sometimes in the moment becomes your dharma. Okay, so maybe you have someone who's ill that you're taking care of. Maybe you yourself are ill. This is your dharma. If it's happening right now and it is something that needs your attention, something that feels like a duty or a responsibility, that is your current dharma. Here are some more quotes about dharma from the Bhagavad Gita. That was this book that I showed here. So just to give us a little better idea of dharma, and then I'm going to talk about ways you can discover or start to explore your true calling. Some quotes from the Bhagavad Gita. It is better to strive or struggle in one's own dharma than to succeed in the dharma of someone else. You have the right to work, but for the work's sake only. You have no right to the fruits of the work. Work done with anxiety about results is far inferior to work done without such anxiety in the calm of surrender. Those who work selfishly for results are miserable. One who has control over the mind is tranquil in heat and cold, in pleasure and pain, and in honor and dishonor, ever steadfast with the Supreme Self. This last one really speaks to my experience with yoga, where a yoga practice or a practice in exploring one's dharma or purpose really helps with this idea of creating a steadfastness in the mind. So yoga seeks to have this calm cessation of the mind, as Patanjali from the Yoga Sutras calls it. So to calm our minds, because our minds create so much chaos in us mentally and physically. And this last one from the Gita, this last quote about having control over the mind has been really helpful to me in terms of how a path of seeking our Dharma can be really helpful in bringing contentment and easing some suffering. Final quote about Dharma, which is my quote from my book Yoga Wise: Dharma is not about the external. It is about that which is awakened within you. People are talking about crossroads or being stuck. These are all signs of Dharma: being at a crossroads, feeling stuck, not knowing which way to go, being in a new situation, like being newly retired or without a partner, maybe ending a relationship, maybe beginning a relationship, kids moving out, having kids. Okay, there's a couple questions of how we use Dharma. So I'm going to come back to that. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you some qualities of Dharma, and this might help to answer some of the questions. Some qualities of Dharma, so different than this idea of the vocation. Do I want to be a doctor? Do I want to be a teacher? You know, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to spend my time? So qualities of Dharma, first of all, we fulfill our Dharma from the inside. So Dharma is not something external, like a job or even a role. So answering this question of how we use Dharma, Dharma comes from the inside and is fulfilled from the inside. So when we are seeking our Dharma, when we are in a situation where we're giving something our full attention, all our energy, everything we have, it doesn't have to just be one thing, then we are being fulfilled from the inside. We are also transforming and learning. Okay, so Dharma happens from the inside. It's not about the external. Another quality of Dharma is that it's transformative. So Dharma transforms us. When we are in our Dharma, there is growth happening. So for those of you who are saying, like, I'm at a crossroads, or for me, 5 years ago, my whole life fell apart. I'm at a crossroads, I'm paralyzed, I'm scared, something has changed in my world, I've lost something, or I've gained something, but I'm afraid about it and what that's going to look like. All of these things are signs of Dharma, because Dharma is transformative. When you're in your Dharma, there's growth happening or going to happen. Another quality of Dharma is that Dharma welcomes in help and synchronicities from the universe. So sometimes when you make a choice, someone who said, I always feel like I'm at this crossroads, and then you choose one way, and then some synchronicities or signs might start to happen. So Dharma is our essential nature, the function of who we are. That question about how we use Dharma, when we're not pursuing our Dharma, or when we are basically ignoring self. So let's say that, like, we're ignoring our gifts, we're not following our intuition, we're not honoring who we are, we're not living in our own truth. That all is going against our Dharma. Okay, and then in turn, we are not happy. We are not effective. We are not happy. So, like, the basic way to answer that question of, like, how do we use our Dharma? We follow the energy. We honor who we are, and we do whatever it takes to discover who we are, and that makes us happy. That makes us content and useful. Not to mention that we each have a gift and a particular skill that the world needs. We need it, and the world needs it. So those are some ways to use Dharma. We have to unlearn those ideas about work and the fruits of our labor. Absolutely. Okay, so Dharma welcomes in synchronicities from the universe. Maybe you have noticed sometimes that happening, or have a moment of that. When I was writing my book, Yoga Wise, I had the first draft of the manuscript due, and it was like all of a sudden months of time opened up for me, both in my work life and in parenting. And, that was a synchronicity. That was a little sign to me, like, you're on the right track. This is going to, the universe is going to collaborate with you to make this happen because you're in your dharma. Final quality of dharma, which I've already talked about, is that dharma has nothing to do with outcome. Okay, so a couple questions now, and I'm going to leave time for more questions at the end and get to anything I haven't answered. We have about 10 minutes left so that everyone's aware. But some questions that you can write down and think about, and either think about now or for later. What duties are you called to right now? Duty. What do you think of as a duty that you're called to right now? So this again could be like someone got sick, or you have an injury, or you have a small child, or maybe there's a financial responsibility that is yours for yourself or your family. What are the duties that you are called to right now? And then the next question to ask yourself is, what is it that you want to be doing right now? What is exciting to you? What is fascinating to you? Okay, and then this could be something that matches that duty, right? Or it could be something that's in conflict with the duty. And this is simply a place to explore and say, so it could be that you feel called to a certain duty because that is part of your dharma and you are destined to be a parent or a healer, some people have said. Okay, so whatever your duty, if you have this sense of duty or purpose for something or someone, that can be part of your dharma or helpful in seeking your dharma. If that sense of duty is in great conflict with truly who you are and what you want, like if you feel obligation to join the family business, but it makes you like feel yucky inside when you think of that, but you feel obligated to your parents or the legacy or whatever it is, that's pay attention to that. So another way to use dharma, back to that question, is that if we're going one way and we have that intuition telling us this isn't for me, follow that. So discovering or seeking our dharma helps us to learn more about who we are and then to honor that. Okay, here are some ways to be on the path of seeking your dharma. Sounds like a lot of you are already on the path. Of course, we're always on the path. It's just whether we're aware of it or not. Here are some other prompts to discovering your dharma. So, number one, what were you interested in as a child? Children usually know what their dharma is. They like frogs and they go play with frogs. They like nature, they go outside, they like drawing, singing. Children do what they are called to do in that moment. So remember what you liked to do as a child, and that can point to what your calling might be. If you like to draw, or if you liked to write, or if you liked to take care of animals, okay? So think of what you were interested in as a child, your natural desires. Where did you go that the world led you? As adults, we sort of stopped doing that. Number two, to help you find your dharma, is who are your heroes and mentors? Who do you admire? So if you admire authors, if you admire musicians, if you admire the woman across the street who keeps a beautiful garden, okay, who are your heroes and mentors? If you admire politicians or advocates or speakers, those people that you are drawn to is because part of that is inside of you. Okay, part of that is inside of you. What they're doing, even I like looking at this question, even like, who are you jealous of? Because jealousy is always supposedly a bad thing, but it points us to like, I'm jealous because I want that too. So I like flipping it and saying like, you know, I would like to have that beautiful garden, or I would like to have that career they have, or whatever it is. Okay. A third thing you can use to discover your calling is considering activities that you do where time stops. So what activities are you involved in? And it seems like hours can go by and you're not sitting there going, when's this going to end? Oh, it's only been an hour. So when you're in your dharma, what you're doing, and maybe this has happened to you in different situations, but if you're in your dharma, there's not really that time. You're sort of like you're present, fully present in the moment, and so you're not restricted by time. Time seems to not exist, and you feel fully at peace and content with who you are. And then, of course, the last way that I would recommend to discover your calling is to have a meditation and a yoga practice and get in touch with that inner self or that inner child and kind of dive in that way. So, Dharma is about bringing out our true essence, and we get in touch with that essence through a mindful or contemplative practice. Okay. So questions. I this went really fast. um Questions that I haven't answered, and you can ask them in the chat. And I know you guys probably have to run to the next. This has given me a lot to think about. I'm so glad. Good. So this, Melissa, I wanted to be a lighthouse keeper when I was a kid. I mean, to grab onto that, remember that, maybe it's not exactly that thing, although maybe it is, but that's there. And the fact that you remember it now, I mean, write that down, kind of keep it on it, just like keep it out there in the universe. Like, what was that about? First of all, it's really exciting and unique. I'm sure it lights you up, but yeah, hold on to that stuff. Yeah, you don't think about it when you're doing it. Doing art. Parenting my adult children is my dharma right now. Oh my gosh, my children are middle school, but yes, absolutely, Shannon. Yeah. Working with glass, mowing lawns. And these things, like, again, really thinking like, I can't make a career out of that. Who mows lawns or takes care of lighthouses or does art, or let that go, let the outcome and all of that go. Focus on that thing that lights you up, like when you think about art or glass or lighthouses, or for me it's greeting cards. Like, think about that thing that is just like your little, makes you smile, and then forget about the battle or who's going to win the war or the outcome, and just focus on that one little thing, one day at a time, and it will take its path and shape, and it'll be in ways that you just had no idea that could become what it will become if you keep following your energy there. Oh yeah, fun time. Another middle school parent or someone who's been through it. Yeah, thank you, Runa. It's getting rough here, definitely. And you don't have to make it a career. Absolutely. It never has to become a career. At least not in the way we think of it. This is about how we can be fulfilled. It doesn't have to look like what society has told us. Librarian. Yep. I agree. There's a lot of things about I have to monetize this. What a great word. Yeah. Is Dharma itself changeable? I like this. Dharma leads to change in us and in the world, but is Dharma itself changeable? This is such a good question. Um, I don't, this gets maybe into like fate. I don't know if Dharma itself is changeable. I think we're all here with our unique essence, and that's not changeable, but Dharma changes. And our choices change our Dharma. So the paths we choose, Dharma will change, like we've discussed, in our different paths, stages, relationships, parenthood, career, whatever it is, whatever happens, life, loss, all of the things. So our dharma is going to change. 1 year our dharma might be this, and then 10 years later our dharma might be this. Um, those choices we make of where to go and what to do change our path, and so it changes our dharma. I hope that kind of answers your question. I like the discussion going on here in the chat. Yeah, I'm glad this has brought up a lot of thoughts and hopefully exploration. So journal around this, meditate around this, remember your childhood, follow those things that light you up, even if you don't know why you are following them, or even if it seems impractical. Let go of the outcome, let go of what other people think, and follow it one tiny little step at a time. Dharma is not meant to just be this like, hey, it's here, I found it, and now it's perfect. Dharma is a journey. Dharma is a path. I've always loved dolls, so I make them. Yes, absolutely. I have a friend who she has a career in the courthouse with for as a in child advocacy, and she's such a great chef. She's obviously a chef, but she does it at home and for her husband, and it's just it really fulfills her, and that's what matters. You're welcome. Thank you, Llewellyn, for hosting this. Um, I can answer one last question. Also, my website is mollychanson.com. I'll put it in here. I think I can use the chat. And I'm happy to, oh, Llewellyn got it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer questions. You can send me an email. I'm so glad you got something out of it, Laura. You're welcome, Scott. Okay. Feel free to email me, reach out. I love talking about Dharma, so. Okay, I hope this gives you some wonderful tips. Again, it's a path of exploration, so all about being curious. What crystal would you suggest on the journey of Dharma? My goodness, what a good. So I was using amethyst. I hope that's the right. It's purple. That's the crystal of change and transformation. So particularly for those of you who are feeling like I'm at a crossroads, I'm paralyzed, I'm stuck. That was the one I used. I had that crystal a lot when I was newly in recovery. Yeah. Okay.